Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Electric 145.
Yes.
I can't wait till episode 145. I'm
Wow.
really excited
That's
about
exciting.
that. I know that's a long way off,
Too
but
much
man,
hype.
I'm thinking about it
We
already.
can't ever get hyped up enough for that.
Or maybe we'll do that bullshit they do where they skip the 13th floor and
We'll
we'll go
skip
from
140
144 to 146.
And then we'll come back and we'll pretend that 145 was there the whole time. It's just like, hope everyone enjoyed the 145th episode.
We'll talk about cool shit we did in it.
Yeah. It's like, have you seen Popstar?
No.
With Andy Samberg? So there's this fucking scene. It's one of the funniest things I've ever in any comedy. So like the whole thing is it's like a documentary style movie. It's a parody, obviously, but it's so they're just sitting there, and then like one of them's like, "All right, there's nothing going on here. Just turn the camera off." And he's just like, and then it's just like black, and it's just the audio, and he's like, "You hear that? What is that? Oh my god, it's a 10-foot wasp!" And like the sound is like this, you can hear it, and he's like, "Get the flamethrower!" And it's like this huge skit with no video, just audio. And he's like, "Shit, did you get that on tape?" Like it's so well done in the movie. That's a good one. I really recommend that one. Comedies are terrible nowadays, but Popstar really hit it.
I've almost felt these days that there's just more bad movies. There's still good movies.
Yeah.
But there's more movies, and the percentage of bad movies has maybe gone up or stagnated.
A higher chance of seeing a bad movie.
Exactly. Like you say, you know, comedies are getting worse. But I think comedies have always been terrible.
Don't do what I do to people to me, all right?
Turn that shit around.
Don't
on
go
you.
rationalizing things and shit. Central Intelligence, also a really good comedy.
Right,
Was
I did
really not
watch
expecting
that
a lot
one.
from that. I expected like nothing. I forgot that it was the movie that The Rock is digitally put onto an extremely fat person's body. It's
Really?
really awkward. It looks terrible, but it's important for the film because his character is like goes from being made fun of and overweight as a child, and then like unbelievably, I mean, he's The Rock as an adult, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah.
So it's just for those scenes where he's a child.
It's just to explain that Kevin Hart's character is the only character who was nice to him when he was his old self.
I see. Okay. So it's kind of the same as we were just talking about earlier, that all the bit characters in movies tend to be done the worst. Like they're the least animated. They have the least amount of time put into their dialogue. They have the least amount of just everything, because they're only using that scene for a short period of time. They just don't put in the money they could have to make them look better.
Should be the opposite. The reason why Jurassic Park's CG looks so good is because it was 4 minutes of T-Rex.
Mm-hmm.
4 minutes. That's nothing. That's like most like the new Jurassic Park movies are like 150 of their 160
Runtime.
minutes.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So they put a shit ton of work into the lighting effects, and they also chose to make it at nighttime, which allows for the visual effects to be easier to sell with the rain.
Right. You're talking about the first movie.
Yeah, and the harsh lighting of the moon. Both of them help sell that image.
Well,
And on that topic, did you know in Gladiator, the I forget his name. He's the trainer essentially. Like he's like the gladiatorial teacher.
Yeah.
Like the older man.
Mhm.
He died halfway through the film. The actor, and several scenes are him visually put onto someone else's face. And
Whoa.
nobody fucking knew because they chose to make all of the scenes in moments like that, like where he's behind a there's like the moonlight is shining on him through a grate, creating this pattern that hides the fact that it's visually done because it was so far back that even now we can't do it
proper.
well.
Yeah.
So like,
Wow.
extraordinary.
Wow. There's a lot of those decisions that have to be made. But even just having things in, like, at least for Jurassic Park, having it in that dark, rainy environment makes it scarier.
Oh yeah.
Because would you rather have to encounter a T-Rex on a good day or a dark, wet, rainy day?
Mhm.
Actually, you know what? A dark, rainy day. Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like you'd have a better chance of escaping.
We don't actually know if their vision was based on movement.
No, but that's not even what I mean. Any creature that's chasing you, you would have more places to hide and more chance that they won't find you
maybe
on
but
a rainy day.
I would. Oh, maybe a rainy day, sure.
Right? Versus a dry day.
Perhaps. I'm pretty sure a lot of predators have better vision at night, though.
That is a great point,
and
actually.
and an advantage because you don't.
Yeah, although most predators, I don't think it matters. Like, imagine, would you rather try and hide from a panther in the day or the night? Well, it doesn't matter.
Day.
It's gonna jack you either way.
Day, you'd have a much better chance.
You think so?
You wouldn't even see it at night.
Yes, you would have a better chance. But like, same as a tiger, it's like, would you rather fight it in the daytime or the nighttime? Well, in the nighttime, I wouldn't see it coming, so I might choose that option. It's kind of like, do you want to take the red pill or the blue pill? It's like, I'll take the fucking blue pill and wake up in bed, man.
I suppose.
Yeah. I heard an interesting phone call this week. I just thought it was pretty funny. It's kind of like the reaction everyone always wants to have but can't. So this guy's standing on like the side of a building essentially that they're putting up, and he gets a phone call and he says, "Hey, what's up? You're calling to say hi? I'm fucking working." And then he just hangs up. No explanation, no like, "Hey, you can't call me at work." Just nope, done.
Oh geez.
Yeah. I just remember thinking someone is going to have a rough conversation when he gets home. It could either be him or the wife or the kids, but someone's not going to be happy tonight.
It's amazing how little shits people give in public on their phones. Like one day, I'm in a bus stop. I'm sitting there. I'm just about to fart. That's important to the story.
I'm glad to know.
And this woman comes in and I'm like, oh, all right, I'll hold it for a bit. She lets out a fat, wet one immediately upon coming in there. Like, could have done it a second earlier and it wouldn't have been that obvious, but it was just like, and I'm like, okay, all right. And then immediately gets on the phone and just starts yelling at people. It's just me and her in a glass case of emotions. And just...
It's just funny that it's both. It's not this lady got on the bus and started yelling, or this lady got on the bus and farted. It's like this lady got on the bus, farted right near me.
No, bus stop. It was even worse.
Oh, in one of those.
In the glass fucking... Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is so awkward. Because now she's going to be with you for like a long period of time.
Yep.
I'm just thinking how you would describe... So there was this really bad smelling lady yelling at the bus stop today.
I have bus stories like every fucking week.
I can only
hilarious.
imagine.
It gets to a point where you just stop telling people stuff. It's like sometimes it's not even funny.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like,
after a while you have like a bin.
And I saw like you just see sad shit.
Yeah. Stuff that's not funny. It goes so far, that it's not funny anymore.
Especially people who don't control their children on the bus. That bugs the fuck out of me because they're gonna get hurt. They're gonna get really hurt.
Yeah, that's a good point. On a bus?
Because people can get hurt enough standing up on the bus, but like a 3-foot tall child standing on the 2-step, like the back step area, the bus hits something hard, and that kid could probably almost hit the fucking windshield at certain speeds.
Yeah, well, and also all of the railings that go over the seats are at their head height, right? So
Jesus.
They're not gonna hit their stomach; they're gonna hit their face right off of
Jesus.
that. Yeah. Yeah,
the amount of times I want to just be like,
it's ridiculous.
It is not his fucking choice where he sits. Grab him. Put him down in a seat. Bring a fucking strap next time. I don't know.
Yep.
Figure it out.
Yep.
It is so much better that your kid's pissed at you than him being like 6 feet further from you suddenly.
Yeah.
All right? It's not fucking time to hang out. Just because you can stand on it doesn't mean it's a safe place.
At the grocery store, that happens a lot too. Like kids just running around.
There was a raging child the other day in the lineup, and I swear he was gonna hit me with stuff, and that was not gonna happen. Like he was ripping things off his mom and like smashing stuff, and it was like that kid comes over here, and like it's fair game, all right? It's Mortal Kombat. Let's go.
One of the best videos I ever saw, and to this day, it's probably one of the best got back at you moments. So this kid has a little teeny cart, like a little kiddie cart, and he's smashing it into the legs of this person in front of him, and the mom's not doing anything. So the guy turns around, takes the milk out of the kid's cart, opens the milk and pours it on the kid's head, and then just gets out of line. I guess he figured at that point it was easier to not get yelled at by the mom, so he just bailed. But
obviously, they wouldn't actually fight a child. I just want to go ahead and say that. Get that disclaimer out of the way. Mortal Kombat is fictional and never to be taken in front of cameras, of course.
Yeah, it's tough. Like this one lady, her kid was hiding under a display, so she couldn't see him. And this is in the produce section, which is next to the door. And one of the other kids says something along the lines of like, where did he go? And she said, oh, I don't know. He'll catch up.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, he'll catch up. That's like, I totally get that it used to be, like latchkey kids used to be the norm. It used to be you just kind of let your kids do whatever, or you were the opposite family where they were to be seen and not heard. And like most of those kids made it. Right, so like it's not
sure.
Right, so
I guess we should measure the success of it on whether it's most did or didn't.
Most, 60% makes it. That's a pretty good ratio.
Better than 60%. I'm making it.
It certainly is. But yeah, it's just rude. That's the thing. There's a lot of people that don't care about being rude, which I don't understand because they would care if they were the one.
Right. Well, they don't measure it that way. They don't see. Yeah.
They don't recognize that it's a two-way street.
Like they hear that that it's fair game with me fighting a child and think that like it's a serious thing. It's like I wouldn't fight an adult, let alone a child. Like someone comes at me, I'm just gonna stop. I'm just gonna like block myself
or run. Like I'm not fighting anybody.
No, I wouldn't run. I'll stand my ground.
Well, you're on a bus too, so you don't really have that choice. You start running up and down the aisles. Yeah, that's no fighting. No fighting if you don't have to. This goes for everybody. No fighting if you don't have to. For all those people who won't hear this, but who are at the concert today, there's a major concert in the area. And I forget what they said, the venue can hold 70,000 people. So just be good to each other.
Yeah, but it's the Stones, so like everybody's old.
I hope so. Yeah. Just... if you're going to drink alcohol...
Who are you talking to? Like, no one's going to get this.
I know. But this is for anybody, though. Like, because people will go to concerts and they just assume that they're safe.
Why would you assume that?
Because they're stupid.
You're in a crowd.
Yeah, and there's people that just think, oh, well, there's people around. Right. People will see.
And those are the people who might do stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And like being trampled, and there's so many bad things that can happen.
And the bystander effect is really bad in a large crowd like that, right? A lot of people just watch shit happen and not do anything about it. Yeah, so be careful. Don't go near crowds if you don't have to. Speaking of crowds, got a great crowd story for you. So
we're gonna be in a crowd in a couple weeks.
Yeah, but it's a venue. It's a smaller crowd.
Oh, it's a venue.
It's a venue. It's only 600 people. It'll be okay. We'll
That's
survive.
less people than last time.
I thought it was 600 last time.
800.
Oh shit! So it's probably gonna be 800 this time too.
Oh, okay.
But when Toronto won the NBA Finals this year, there was this massive parade at Nathan Phillips Square.
Millions
of people showed up, and it is historic. It's the first time they've won since I think 95 or something like that. Anyways, so apparently when the crowds all cleared out, all you could see was just piss puddles everywhere because you couldn't leave. Once you got to the middle of the crowd, there was nowhere to go and there was no washrooms. So there was this one guy. This is a great news story because it's one of those stories where as you're reading it, you keep going, why didn't you do this? So the guy's in the crowd and he realized he couldn't leave to go to the bathroom, but he wanted to stay there for the parade. And so he said he unfortunately pooped his pants.
Oh no.
And then he said later on, because I couldn't hold it, I peed myself.
Oh.
And all I can think is, why were you still there? The minute I poop my pants, I am leaving. I don't care if the queen is showing up to talk to me. If I poop in my pants, I am going home to change. I'm sorry, but I am not waiting around until I get to that pee in my pants moment.
Tell the queen I pooped in my pants.
She'll understand. She's been around.
Yes, hello, Margaret. Is it Margaret?
I don't know, actually. I was just thinking about that.
Yes, hello, Margaret. Yeah, I shit my trousers.
Yowzers.
Can you wait?
You know what? Even better. Meet me in my apartment.
Yeah.
I'll have fresh pants.
This time, try waving like a normal fucking person.
Oh, jeez. Can you imagine waving, though, for like an hour? Your wrists, like you can hear that.
Don't show people that.
Just imagine that after a while. It would be going back and forth.
Maybe. I guess she's thinking longevity. Like, I appreciate that.
Well, man, who has more longevity than her?
I'm trying to think.
Well, even look at her husband,
Captain
Prince
America.
Philip. Yeah, I mean, he's been around for a while. But if you look at Prince Philip, he looks like a corpse. Sorry, Prince Philip.
And he's her
No
kid.
offense. No. Prince Philip's her husband.
Oh,
Prince Charles is her kid.
really?
So, yeah, her kid.
It's like
is,
40 years between them?
I think it's only like 20.
What?
Yeah. Prince Charles is like in his 70s, and the Queen is in her 90s.
Okay, sorry, I'm mixing. Yeah. And then who are the younger ones?
And then William is Charles's son. So it goes Queen, Charles, William, and William's brother's Harry the redhead. That's the one that's like all up in the news. Yeah. He's not part of the succession line, and he doesn't get a crown.
And is the Queen disowning Meghan Markle?
Disowning? I don't know if it works like that.
I read stuff in tabloid magazines, and I'm like, you're a fucking liar.
Oh yeah,
you're straight up lying. I don't know how that's allowed.
I think there's definitely friction between them, but why wouldn't there be friction? She was born in
how are you allowed to
1930? She was.
What do you mean? Like, what's the friction coming from? You saying like her skin color?
No. The friction is because the Queen is super old school and the whole royal family is super old school. Meghan Markle is super new school.
Oh.
Right? She came into this from Hollywood. Yeah. There's obviously going to be some friction there. I just can't imagine being that uber famous.
I'm sorry. There was a prejudice against the 1930s. That was my bad.
Yeah. Fuck those people in the 30s.
Man, white people in the 30s, typically racist. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, there's definitely some dark times in even our history. Our history is in no ways perfect.
What?
What do you mean?
No.
Well, there wasn't slavery.
There hasn't been like serious controversy and scandal in Canadian politics ever, right?
Right.
No,
we're cool.
No.
People like us.
Things are great here.
We've never needed reparations, never anything like that.
There's
never been...
fuck. So,
so sidestepping.
Alien
Covenant. Nice.
Have you seen any Alien movie?
I've seen the first, and I've seen Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
I have not seen the first.
Oh, really?
I really want to now.
Oh, okay.
Because I've really enjoyed Covenant. I thought it was like, I mean, I can't say it's a return to form because I don't know.
It was a return to form in a lot of ways.
It felt like it fit a structure while also doing some interesting ideas. Now, I don't exactly, like, I know that Alien is about a crew who deal with one alien, and then it slowly grinds down to just Sigourney Weaver on a spaceship. I appreciated that they didn't make this one on a spaceship, but still ended it on a spaceship. Like, you still had those scenes where the alien is walking through the hallways and all that stuff.
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, how fucking long has Ridley Scott waited to film those scenes again? Yeah. He's like, we're doing it. It's like fucking 20 years later. I thought the alien was so well done. The only thing I would really change about the alien is how much on-screen time it had. I think it would have been a much scarier animal if it hadn't been filmed so plainly.
If it was hidden more often.
I loved the super weird, like, FOV, like wide FOV shots in the spaceship of it walking around the hallways. I thought that was fucking beautiful because the lighting obscures exactly what it looks like. Everything's all weird and like harsh lighting and shit. I felt like on the planet, like, actually showing us it crawling around on the bottom, like, really took a lot of like its scary thing away from it. And I thought it would have been a lot better if she was like not sure where it was for a lot longer than she was.
Yeah,
it felt too actiony.
I think they've decided that because the aliens are so well known that they chose not to go with as much suspense. I think that was the rationale behind it. But I agree. Any movie, if you overshow the bad guy, it really does in a way kind of just devalue the scariness of him. Oh, yeah. When he shows up, he doesn't have the punch value that he once would have.
And I loved everything about it. I loved David. Is his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love David. I love Michael Fassbender playing the same android with two different androids that are the same in their physical mannerisms but with different accents. That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
And then his whole story is so good. These are prequels, right? Or are they reboots?
Prometheus and Alien Covenant come before Alien the First.
So what I'm really hoping they do is maybe make one more movie and then do one with Sigourney Weaver again, but late. Like, we're talking like basically take the difference of what like her age and say that this is that many years later, have it be like the final movie that is leading up to Alien Covenant, and then continue to make new Alien movies.
Oh geez. Oh man. Like, yeah, continue the series from where the originals finished.
Yeah, because that movie pretty much leads up like to like the version of the Alien is pretty much that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the one that they were showing in the beginning of the film was not exactly the Alien in the rest of it. It was like another version of it. It's like it's like versions back, right?
Right.
And David's like trying to craft the best Alien, and he finally does it by using proper humans. With the facehuggers, I guess. He make the facehuggers? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, so, you know what, I'm actually, like, there's parts of Alien Covenant I'm starting to forget. So you've seen Prometheus, obviously, right?
Yep.
So is the end of Prometheus the movie where she flies the ship
Yes.
to the enemy homeworld?
She says, we're going to go and, like,
right.
I'm going to go meet my maker.
And then does Alien Covenant take place on the same planet Prometheus did?
No, it takes place on the planet, the homeworld
of the engineers.
Of the engineers.
After they've been essentially wiped out.
By David.
And
David and her, I forget her name.
Chick.
Yeah, he killed her. Between movies.
Yeah, yeah. Is there like a ton of allusion to that, or do they just kind of mention it?
He specifically says it near the end of the film, but in the beginning it just seems like she just died. But the whole thing was his plan. He used that recording of her on a loop for 10 years, waiting for more humans to show up, using that whole time to craft his new facehuggers to make the best version of the alien, but needed life forms. He had no life forms. It was just him.
Yeah. I just thought that Michael Fassbender's character as David was just mind-blowing. It was so well performed. It was incredibly well written. And it just made so much sense. That's what's so crazy about Prometheus and Alien Covenant, is you watch them and it's like somebody, it's like someone filled in all the gaps, but not the way they normally do. Normally when they fill in the gaps, it's like they just take some silly putty and shove it in the holes. And you can you're like, oh, I see the orange there and there. Like,
you know, in Star Wars, Han Solo said, Leia says, I love you. And he says, I know. Or something like that. Like, he doesn't say I love you back.
That's funny.
It's something about that. And so my buddy was like, he's like, it's cool that they're making prequel Star Wars movies, but I don't think I'm going to watch the Han Solo one because I know they're going to very obviously explain why he doesn't say I love you. I didn't see it, but I thought that was very interesting that the prediction was made ahead of time because we know where movies go now. It's too easy to predict.
Yeah, we watched a trailer for a movie yesterday called Axel.
Yes, with the dog, yeah.
Have you seen the trailer for it?
Yeah.
Do you have any interest in watching it?
No.
Yes, me neither. Because you see it and you go, okay, boy meets dog, boy and dog grow, they learn new things, there's some sort of enemy, they defeat the enemy, they ride off into the sunset. I don't need to see the movie to know that that's the plot.
Or it could be Bicentennial Man. They slowly allow the dog to become more human and then put it down because it has weak knees.
Right, so there's that too. But it's just, the only reason I was even entertaining watching it is because I know the actor who's the main character. He's from Colony.
Yes.
And so that was kind of interesting me, but it just, you know what it really feels like? It feels like a Walmart version of Transformers, which already feels like a Walmart version of other good movies.
I saw like an off-brand ripoff of Transformers called Trads Farmers.
You're kidding. You're joking, right? I can't tell if you're serious. So it's a real movie?
No, it's not a movie. It's a toy. It's like the toy ripoff.
Oh.
It's the funniest, like, Sorny kind of.
Yeah, what'd you say it was called?
Trads Farmers.
Oh my God.
And then there's ripoffs of video games that use covers that rip off the game, but the game itself is not a ripoff of the game it's pretending to be. It's just a straight up scam.
So the cover makes it seem like a ripoff of Jack
Right.
and Daxter,
Yes.
but inside is just a totally different game.
Yeah, well, the example, and this is also where I found the Trad's Farmers thing. It was in a video by Basically Homeless, and he found this, like, you know what Roblox is?
Roblox?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like, it kind of looks like
In
Minecraft,
general.
but it's sort of used as like an engine for people to create their own thing with it. But plenty of people have made clones of that as well. It's like the easiest way to make a pretty shitty game. And someone made like a Roblox that was pretending to be Apex Legends, a super popular video game. Like the cover looked just like it. And then when you play it, there's no element of Apex Legends. No, there's not even characters with similar names. Nothing. It's a straight up scam to get you to buy the game. Because every so often, some kid will have access to a credit card and they'll throw $10 in there for no reason. And that's your money.
Yeah.
No refunds on digital products.
One thing that I find interesting is I'm not exposed to crap the same way we used to be when we went to the movie store and went to the video game store. Because you remember these games like Secret Service 3. When was there a Secret Service 1 and 2? I didn't see that shit.
Game covers are still not well considered. And I always appreciate when they are. Like as much as I'm not a fan of how frequently things are being rebooted, they're now, the next Call of Duty is Modern Warfare. That's it. Just not Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
At least technically that's different.
But the cover looks pretty cool. It's like a dude for no reason leaning. He's like doing like the lean. But he there's like something about the composition of the shot that makes it look like every Call of Duty is a dude holding a gun up or down, like in like an action hero phase.
Yeah.
This dude is in action. Like
it
actually, when I saw that, I was like, I heavy sighed because they're rebooting the franchise name. But like, I'm like, that cover actually looks pretty neat. Like it looks like it represents what it is, and it kind of makes me want to like check it out. And you see like Borderlands, and it's like, oh, or like Borderlands 3, and it's like a parody of old style biblical design. That's creative. Lots of bright lights. Oh wow, look, a golden RPG because it's a crazy game.
Yeah, sometimes I prefer minimalism.
Minimalism is the way to go, dude.
Usually there's more impact.
Have you seen how chaotic the Bumblebee cover is?
For the movie?
For the movie Bumblebee?
Yeah, you did show it to me.
John Cena's face is Bumblebee's crotch.
Yeah.
Like it's basically, he's basically a cup.
Yeah. That's rough.
It's like, you gotta get John Cena in there, man. He's in the movie. Maybe it'd be more fun if he wasn't in the cover. Maybe if you had this really cool, like weird blended artistic shot of Bumblebee in action and you didn't know who was in the movie, and then you watch it and you're like, dude, John Cena.
Yeah. That's one of the things that bothers me about the entertainment industry is it's more about putting butts into seats than it is about making something good. And that is why movies like Pulp Fiction are so good. Because that movie was written to be good on its own. It was written to be a standalone item that is going to stand the test of time, like most of his movies.
You know who does that though? Standalone films, I haven't actually looked fully into this. Edgar Wright.
I don't know if I know that guy.
Shaun of the Dead. At World's End. The other one with Nick Frost and Hot Fuzz. Was right?
Paul?
Oh, did you do Paul as well?
I don't know. I was just curious because the same guys.
He might have, yeah. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Oh, okay.
Baby Driver.
Interesting. That one doesn't really seem to fit the trend.
Maybe he's trying new things.
Well, Baby Driver was probably the best out of that list you just mentioned.
That's one of the best films ever made.
Yeah.
So it's the type of film that I was having sort of like a creator panic attack watching it. I'm like, that is so fucking hard to do. Like, because what I do with Mitch shows is I'll collect stuff that's like, I'll label like action, or I'll collect stuff that I label build up. Then I find a good song. I got the build up, I got the action. I kind of like randomly throw them in there and see how it works. And then I go, oh, well, this one's better over here and this one's better over there.
Massage it.
Yeah, but I'm using various clips that I've found, and my song can change. He's filming it with the intention of using this song, which means he had to go and get the rights to use that song ahead of time, storyboard it out with the music in time, figure out exactly how to do it, basically probably have the song there, like, on speakers, and then get his actors to, like, get in rhythm with the thing and, like, all right, I need you to pull the shifter as this part of the song moves in. Like, I was, like, freaking out watching this movie. I'm like, this is so complicated. This is not the type of thing you can do once every 2 years. This is the type of thing that you plan for, like, 10 while you make your other movies that you can make every 2. I was just, like, I was so blown away. The actor was perfect. All of the actors were great. I loved John Bernthal. Wait.
Well, John Bernthal had a small role.
Sorry. John Bernthal wasn't very much in
John
there.
Hamm.
John Hamm was really good. And then Jamie Foxx.
That's right. He was in that.
Jamie Foxx was great.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really well put together. And I know that feeling you're talking about, like when something was made and it's so good or so perfect that you just think, man, like, how did I not think about that?
Fucking almost every scene, driving or gun action, is timed with music. It is unbelievable.
That's true. The movie is about music, and it's kind of reinforced by the main character.
I just watched a movie and I forget what it was. I think it was Mile 22. Fuck. What did I just tell you I watched? Mile 22, Lone Survivor, and one more thing. I forget what it was. All the Devil's Men. So it was one of the 3 of those films. But there's a scene where it's like it's building up to the briefing of what the action of the movie is going to be. And there's a character walking down a hallway in high heels, and it's making the clip clop. And the clip clop is perfectly synchronized to the soundtrack that was actually made for the film.
Whoa.
So, like, it's, you know, it's got like the classic, like, every military base in every film always has that high snare drum. That
Yeah.
So it's like and it's like clip clop clip clop clip clop. I was like, it actually like pulled me out of the film because I was like, that was weird.
Too much synchronization.
But I liked it. I still liked it. It's fine. It's okay if you pull the people out of the film at the beginning.
Yes, it's the 75% through the movie. That's where you need to make sure that they stay in fact, that suspension of disbelief.
We may have just discovered it right now, and that may be the best way to start a film is to make people feel like it's a film in the prologue. Like, remember how silly Guardians of the Galaxy is, the first one?
They're both pretty silly, but yeah.
He's walking around in like a quiet space, and then he puts his tape deck on, and it's just hey, and he's dancing around and shit.
The best song ever for that scene.
It's a silly scene, and it like you really don't feel like you're like in a real world, like you're having fun. And then the movie like gets into its whole thing. He ends up in prison, and then they break out of space prison, and they go.
And then there's the opposite. That movie. Shit, I forget what it's called. It's the one with Mark Wahlberg, The Rock. Oh man, yeah, I've totally forgotten what the name was. It was like something to do with lifting.
Oh, Pain and Gain.
Pain and Gain, that's the one where they actually sort of like take a break halfway through and they go, just reminding you, all of this actually happened. Because they're barbecuing a guy's hand at that very moment.
I haven't seen the film,
they have to intentionally remind you that you're watching a mockumentary. Well, it's not a mockumentary. It's actually more of a inspired movie, life-inspired movie. A mockumentary would be like Cloverfield.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it a good movie?
Pain and Gain?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was fucked up, but it was good. Like, it was very interesting, just like watching the characters make these decisions and like how they justified them to themselves.
Interesting. I haven't seen it.
It's Marky Mark. It's got The Rock. I forget who the other actor is, but it was good.
Wasn't it the guy who played Monk?
He's in it, but he's not one of the main characters per se. He's the guy they're trying to like rip off. Yeah, he's the victim. But also, God, Mark Wahlberg is jacked in that movie. He went straight back to the old days, just, you know, wall to wall shoulders.
Pancakes.
Yeah. Oh man. You were just mentioning things that are like so brilliant you wish you would come up with it.
No, actually. I would never want to deal with that level of coordination. I was freaking out trying to figure out how he did it. Like, I was impressed that he did it, but it was like, I have no envy for... As great as it would be to make something that amazing, like, I don't want to deal with that level of coordination. But anyway, sorry.
Right. Well, it's more like, it's actually, I find it happens more in music, where you hear a lyric or you hear a riff and you go, holy shit.
That happens to me all the time.
Yeah. And somebody wrote a tweet and they said, we really need to figure out what we want to do with the word bitch. Because for a woman, it means she's too aggressive. And for a man, it means he's not aggressive enough. So, like, what's going on here?
I think it's on the same topic as the gender topic and the sexual orientation topic, that we have terms that refer to both your gender and the one that you're interested in, right? We have, like, lesbian is not someone who's into women. It's women who are into women.
Right. That's true. That is a specific term, yes.
But then gay means gay could be for both.
Yeah, gay and homosexual
but
are synonymous, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, depends who you ask.
Yeah.
But there's no specific term really for dudes who are into dudes. And then there's a term for being one interested in the opposite. And I think it might be more efficient to figure out a word for being interested in men, being interested in women, and something in between. And that it would be much easier to do because it wouldn't be related to the gender that you are. And it would also be like, we would probably introduce this at the same time that we're having the discussion about gender and the 51 different things you can be.
You're just trying to bring common ground between us and the lesbians?
So
it's like, we're all women lovers, you know?
I'm lowering the bridge.
We are the one group, yeah. It could be doable. Come up with a new vernacular. But then I feel like people would have the same reaction as they did with all the new pronouns. They'd be like, you want me to remember a new thing? Like, why can't we just stick with lesbian and gay? But that's true, though. There is no word for a man who likes men. There's no specific term.
There's plenty of terms in the gay community for specific types of gay dudes. But I've never heard an expression that just means dudes into dudes, other than, I guess, gay boy. But that's a little... Yeah,
like gay man is what you would say, but it's two words. That's not one word, yeah.
Yeah. Is Gaylord an actual first name? Like, I feel like that has to be an old actual name, man. Like,
I don't know.
Because the expression wasn't negative and it wasn't homosexual for a long time.
For a long time, yeah. Because if you were like Lord Happy, that's actually... I mean, that's a shit name, but it's better than it sounds when you hear Gaylord.
And I wonder where dick comes from, right? The expression. Because Richard was dick long before dick meant penis, right?
Was it, though? I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know that, per se.
I don't know.
That one confuses me.
And when you take Richard, does it pronounce into dish?
Richard. I was wondering... I was thinking Rashad? But okay, yeah, in French. I don't know if they do that in France. I don't know if they do the same shortening thing.
They say like penis.
I don't actually know what the French word for penis is, unfortunately. I feel like that would be a good addition to this conversation.
Siri, what's the...
Alexa. Oh, man.
She's over here covering her ears.
Yeah. Those systems are weird. The Google Home, Alexa, even Siri.
I'm not down.
Yeah, I'm not down for that either. That seems really, really uncomfortable to me. Yeah, just having it listening to you all the time. That seems like a terrible decision.
Yeah, at the same time, we have speakers and or microphones and a lot of things we have.
At least the difference is if I found out that somebody got some information from my phone listening to it without my knowledge, I could go after them and say, you're a horrible person. But if I put something in my house that is designed to listen to me, I feel like I have less of a footing to stand on when my info is stolen.
That's the thing, is you're not going to find out.
You're right.
Who is using microphones in your phone. The best thing to do is to not have anything to hide. And that way you won't be upset about being spied on.
Nothing to fear.
Exactly.
Nothing to hide.
Yeah.
Of course. It's so simple.
Yeah.
How did we not figure this out sooner?
We did. We have drones.
Oh my god.
They're over top
Oh
of
my
you right
God.
now. They're watching you through the windows.
Through the windows? Shut it. Shut it now!
Anti-drone glass.
Wouldn't it just be anti-camera glass?
Or, like they say that for...
They say...
Is that Scars on Broadway? They say... For every shield, a sword. For
Right.
every lock, a lockpick, right? Eventually people will have effective responses for drones. Like it's a matter of time, right?
EMP cannon, I'm telling you.
Like a localized directional EMP. Of course, I mean that
I would buy that shit and shoot it at people who are talking on their phones loudly in public.
Oh, dude, I would do that on people who listen to music too loud on the bus. It's like
through your headphones.
It's a personal device.
Yeah.
Cunt.
At the same time, though, you can't fire that at people just in case they have a pacemaker.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's only young people who do this.
And you know what? Fuck all those young people with their pacemakers.
Oh, shit. I didn't know young people had pacemakers.
Yeah, every now and then.
Oh.
Well, it's like anything else, right? There's just so many humans. The odds. It's sort of like if you were to set out any set of circumstances that is physically possible, it is happening. There is someone somewhere who ran out of toilet paper and is walking through their house with dirty under areas looking for more toilet paper. There is a person who is currently deciding if they can use mustard because they don't have peanut butter for their sandwich.
Has been, is, and will be. You can guarantee all of them.
Yes, that is a very good point.
7 billion?
Well, especially when you watch these videos on the internet.
There's other douchebags in their fucking living rooms making podcasts at this very second. At the very second that we're recording it and the very second that you're listening to it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's just that doesn't surprise me at all. There's probably a lot of people doing that.
I didn't say it was surprising. I just told you it was happening.
Yeah. I just don't know how it's possible to grasp that wave of humanity. Like how is it even possible to wrap your head around the idea that at any given second, someone is being born, someone is dying.
You can't.
Someone is getting married. It's just insane, though, is it not?
Why would you try to take all that in? It's too much.
No, I never said to take it all in. Just to get your head around the concept that, it makes sense if I leave the house and I walk 50 meters, I'm going to be in a different place. If I walk 1,000 kilometers, I'm going to be in a different place. But just the idea.
It's because we can't focus like that. You could have like 100 screens in front of you showing you different shit and you wouldn't be able to focus on any of them. As if you could actually understand that with your brain.
Yeah, but isn't it unusual? Not unusual. It makes perfect sense, but it's how our brains are only able to understand the things that we've been doing since the beginning. Yeah. You can't actually wrap your head around how the computer works. You know what the screen shows you, but you don't actually you aren't actually imagining the electron moving from transistor to transistor.
We even design computers the way that we think. Like computers have a symbol for folder. That is the old folder we used to fucking use, man. We're not that creative. We take baby steps.
Well, the save symbol.
And when you look and you can see this too with like a creator, you can watch their creations evolve and then you can take what the last thing they made and the first thing and see a giant leap. And we do that. But like computers in the beginning were very much the way that we already did things. Because there's no reason to like redo everything every time you add something.
Yeah. Well, that's actually what was really crazy about this this documentary I was telling you about, the Bob Lazar Area 51 thing. The technology that he was working on, he said the most fascinating part was that there weren't wires. The pieces all just worked by being in close proximity to each other. So imagine that's the next technological step. We've already moved in a direction of no wires because we have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And
Bluetooth is fucking amazing.
It is. Bluetooth is really quite crazy.
I have a pair of headphones that work on Bluetooth on my phone, They both charge wicked quick from the same universal charger from a wall plug you can find anywhere. They connect to each other super fast. The quality is really good. And the headphones were $80. That is how far ahead we are. You used to have to, like... I remember when Skull Candy earbuds were like $50 or $60.
Yeah, for a regular plug-in pair.
And that was like the lower quality one.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're like $10. You can probably find them for even cheaper in certain places.
Skull Candy is still a little more expensive than that, but that's because you're getting quality. But it is really crazy the advance, like the rate of advance is the big thing.
Yep.
Do you know what the next generation of foldable phones is going to look like?
Foldable?
Yeah. So obviously Samsung came out with their Fold, and it was okay at first. And then they all started breaking. Like, basically everyone eventually broke within
Samsung did a Fold one?
Yeah, you've never seen this? Casey Neistat did a whole video about it. Yeah, so it's a regular phone on the front, a little small actually, but then it folds open like a book, and it becomes a tablet.
Whoa.
So you have this massive screen. So
the screen itself is actually bending.
Yes.
Whoa.
And that's where the problem came in. The screens were cracking because of the constant bending, opening, and close.
Of course.
So what Huawei is doing with their next phone...
Huawei is doing...
Which, first of all, we may not even be able to get that Huawei phone, by the way, because the States has already put an official ban on Huawei products. So I don't know how that's going to affect us. But what's more than that is Google is no longer supporting Huawei. So you can't get the App Store on Huawei products anymore.
No, Huawei.
But anyways, what Huawei is doing is instead of having it a book folding, the front is a phone. And then the back part flips up to meet it. So that rather than the screen folding inwards on itself, it's sort of folding backwards. That way there's less pressure on the screen.
Yeah.
But imagine that. Imagine you use your phone like normal, and then you just turn it into a tablet. Do whatever you want, turn it back into a phone.
Mm-hmm.
That is so space age. That is so from the Jetsons, man.
I think, first of all, the Jetsons were punks.
They had bullshit technology.
Treadmills in
I was
space.
just going to say that.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Why do they have treadmills?
Like, treadmills were extraordinary at the time that they were making them. They were like, look at this shit. You just stand still and move.
You know what? Those people probably spent a lot of time in airports, and they just thought, yeah, this shit is going to be in our houses.
I think that the future of that type of technology, and that's a great example, that it's really hard to design something that is fluid that way. Like, physical objects generally need to sort of like stay in their state or have some sort of hinge thing, which you don't want in that scenario. I think that glasses that change the world around you are probably the future. Glasses that magnify and pick up on words and lettering, remember information for you, identify faces, translate things, project things in front of only you, takes your like hand movements and allows you to do things in front of yourself without any actual screen or projection. I think that is the future, because it's going to be so hard to do anything more complicated than folding the phone.
It's true.
And just glasses, I mean, people already think glasses are cool, right? They already want to wear glasses.
So Google Glass came out a while back, and Google Glass had a camera built into it, and it had some limited AR functionality. The problem was it freaks people out, because now you're recording them more or less everywhere you go.
Right, and it's a slow step. The thing is, what they don't realize is that most people are being recorded all the time.
Not video.
There's cameras at almost every single intersection.
There's
everywhere.
a difference between that and going out with your buddy who's wearing a camera between his eyes. So every time he looks at you or anything else,
and I'm not saying I wouldn't
it's in front of a camera.
I'm not saying I wouldn't feel uncomfortable, but if you're on the bus, the subway, parking lot, and even sometimes in most department stores, there's like, you're on camera a lot.
You are, absolutely.
You just don't feel that way.
Well, I forget who it was, but someone designed a camera that's the size of a grain of sand.
Of course they did.
Yeah, so...
Because a molecule would be ridiculous.
So that's the next logical size.
I mean, how can you expect the children to learn if they can't even see the camera?
What I do find exciting about that, though, is it gives promise for the next generation of medical technology. The idea
I was gonna
is
say invisibility suits.
That would be cool too. That would be kind of cool. But the next wave of medical technology, they think, is going to be tiny robots that actually just go in there and fix the problem. Nanites, essentially. Yeah.
They have nanites on Travelers. They inject it into you, but they kind of die, like as they're doing stuff.
What? The nanites die?
Yeah, because they're like, I don't know, eaten by cells or something.
Makes sense.
So like, there's only so much. Like they don't exist. Like you don't just put nanites in somebody and then they just like keep working. It's more like a dose of nanites that go in there and fix things up.
Of course it is, because if you gave them a cure, then you wouldn't be able to give them more treatment in the future.
Yeah,
you want to make sure they come back for more nanite shots.
'cause
You got to make sure we have a supply for those nanites.
There's no industry.
Hey, big nanites is a thing, brother. Open your eyes.
Actually, it's small, brother. Big nanites would be a terrible thing.
No.
Look how big this nanotechnology is. It's bigger than...
This is officially the biggest nanotechnology we've ever made.
No, in Travelers, there's no industry in the future because there's barely any life.
Oh, that's dark.
Travelers is dark.
Yeah,
you haven't seen
dark.
it?
No.
You haven't watched
No,
the
it's
best
dark.
Canadian television show on the television?
Oh, no, I haven't.
I actually don't watch it on television. I watch it
Yeah.
on an LCD monitor.
There is so little television these days compared to streaming.
In our world, maybe, but there's plenty of people with landlines and classic television paying $150 a month for 5.
But still, though, these companies are shrinking.
Yeah, but they're moving into the
streaming industry. Yeah.
Market.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I mean. There is such a significant drop in the amount of television. Like television, I think peaked in the late 90s, early 2000s. I would say that's where it really hit its absolute maximum. It sort of plateaued for a while, and now it's starting to come on the downhill stroke.
And the golden era of television, funny enough, happened shortly before Netflix, and may have actually been part of Netflix's success.
Really?
Like Dexter was like one of those shows. Dexter, Sopranos, 6 Feet Under. They were like the shows that people were like, holy fuck, television is good now.
Yeah. Well, The Sopranos, I think, was one of the first ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really changed.
Before that, nothing else felt like a movie. The Sopranos feels like a long movie.
Felt like a movie, yeah.
Yeah.
And Game of Thrones is like the like 10-year. It's like it made that way because so many things paved the way, right?
Right. Well, at first it did. But
well, the first 6 seasons.
I'm laughing, but I'm sad.
Yeah, the Game of Thrones debacle is really sad to me.
It's a good way to put it.
It's just, it sucks.
It does. It feels wrong. It feels like a waste.
It felt like what it was. It felt like the first 6 years took 10 years to write, and then the next 2 took 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was probably very similar to what actually happened. They did these connections to things that were too obvious. Subtlety was one of the best things the show did. These little moments where like characters would speak to other characters about things. Like, I never noticed so much shit about Game of Thrones until like my third watch through. The scene where Arya's in the dungeon with the dragon heads, and she hears Varys talking to the guy who helped Daenerys meet Drogo. I did not make any of those connections the first 2 times I was watching the show.
Yep.
The third time I'm like, oh fuck,
that's that guy.
That's how, like, before I was just like, whatever, Varys knows stuff. But then I'm like, no, Varys spoke directly to the person who gave her to Drogo.
Yeah.
So that's how he knows where she is. That's how he knows that
Keep saying Drogo, and I keep wanting to correct you to Drogon. But you're right. You're right.
Yeah. You know what? I think maybe Drogo's situation may be what Game of Thrones was. Fierce, often unpredictable, subtle in moments, wise even. Then near the end, technically alive. But then D&D took the pillow and put it over his face.
But that even fits really well because like what that lady said, it's like you paid for life, and here it is.
Only death.
The game is alive.
Can pay for life. She says really weird.
Yeah.
And then she's like, she like puts her on the fire. She's like, you will not hear me scream. And it's like 1 minute later, ah!
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing that just really bothered me about the whole thing is it felt, I don't know, I assume this is not what happened. It felt like they didn't even try with the writing.
And it's because, okay, so the last 2 seasons are good, but the rest of the show is excellent, superb. It is beyond.
You're right.
It's beyond the expectation of normal television.
They are okay.
Like they're on par with like the type of thing you'd see on primetime television.
Yes, mainstream.
Like it's like Lucifer
TV.
level writing.
Yes.
Or it's like the characters are well done, the acting is well done, set pieces, production value, all phenomenal. But there's just an element, there's a soul not there. That's the difference. That's the real difference.
Well, and that's why you can watch a show. Like, you know what? That's a perfect way to put it because everything was in place except the real substance. The substance had been sucked out of it. Like if someone took your jelly donut, shoved a straw in there and got rid of all the good stuff.
There was a better White Walker fight in season 6 than there was in the finale of the White Walker scenario.
That's right. At whatever that city's called.
Yeah. Because it was an actual fight.
Yeah. That was a great scene. Holy shit.
Timing, of course, is the big thing that most people will call down as the issues. Because the way that the story played out could have, like, it may not make people that happy, but it could have been done better if it made more sense in its in the traveling to that destination, right?
Mm-hmm.
It still needed rework on exactly how things ended up, but if they had more time, it would have at least just more been like, that could have been better. Whereas the majority of people just consider the whole thing a disappointment.
Bad, yes.
Because in comparison to the first 6, it's like nothing.
I just really wish they had just decided, okay, fuck Yara. No one cares about Yara anymore. She's out of the story. Nobody cares about this other character. They're out of the story. Yara. Yara is Theon's sister.
Right.
You know, and like, go, brother, go join the people. And then, like, later she shows up at the very end. Like, there's so many characters that I would have been super okay with them just saying, you know what? No one cares about this person. We're not talking about this person anymore. We're only going to deal with the characters that actually matter. Honestly, I actually would have been better if Jaime had that whole fucking speech with Brienne where he's like, I'm a hateful person. Like, I have to go back to Cersei. And then he just vanished. And we never saw him again. I actually would have think that would have been better, personally.
Than how it ended.
Because it just seemed like you have a story that has built itself on the idea that no one is special. And then you spent the entire last season showing why every character was special.
The last 2.
Right.
Like he goes
But 7 was not as bad as 8, man. It just wasn't.
I think it was just as bad. I think it's only compared in a negative way because 8 had less episodes.
That's true.
And it was actually actually final. Like in 7 it was like, that was fucking weird, but hey, there's one more season. Like our mind was in a different place because we weren't feeling like these were like the ends of the routes.
I just didn't feel like there was as much silliness. Like the whole scene, them going to the north and getting the zombie was like, it was pretty silly. But it wasn't as silly as none of the fucking scorpion things being able to hit Drogon, or none of them even looking at him to try to shoot him.
Yeah, a bunch of them are looking the wrong way.
Or Dany just forgot about the fleet.
I can't believe they fucking said that in the documentary. They actually said,
yeah,
she kind of forgot about this. Like the 2 things she was going up against.
And that's what I'm talking about. They didn't. It feels like they didn't try.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so bizarre, like, man.
Season 8 of Dexter was very weird, and I wasn't very happy with it. I watched it again and ended up enjoying it after I heard how the producers, like the intention, and I could understand where they were going. But that felt rushed as well. Like it felt like the entire last episode was like the whole wrap up of the show. Like all of these things happen like one after another. But it wasn't a show building 8 seasons worth. Each season was pretty much its own thing. It had its own themes and ideas, and the show felt very different by the end. But it wasn't as much of a disappointment because this show was continuous. It was meant to be like 1,000 threads carefully weaved together, and then they all make sense. And there were some extraordinary connections that we had made even by season 6 that were like so satisfying to get to. Moments where characters hadn't seen each other for like 5 years. And the only time they had ever seen each other was in passing, in saying some negative thing to each other. And now they're on the same side of a conflict. And that was like so satisfying to see. There were moments too, even in the season 8, like Jamie seeing Bran was like, I felt like when I like that in that first episode, I was like, all right, this season's going to be it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. Because that first episode was fucking great.
I remember you saying this to me.
And even the pacing was weird about that last season. It was like 2 high action episodes, 2 fillers, and 2 classics. That's how it kind of felt. And they felt like they were in a pattern too. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. It felt it was very strange.
Yeah. Overall to me, it just seems like a better way to do it would have been to sit down and decide who are we going to kill so that this makes sense. Like, don't tell me you're going to take the 20 main characters and kill 2 of them. Like, first of all, let's just be real to George's vision here. 10% of people is not a realistic number of deaths for Game of Thrones. 60% is much more realistic for Game of Thrones.
It's the type of show that kills more than one main character, usually in one episode.
And usually not in a situation that's even that important.
Yeah.
Like the Viper's death may be one of the most shocking things I've seen in television.
I pretty much didn't catch any of the deaths. Like I didn't predict basically any of them.
In the first 6.
Yeah. I didn't think that Ned was going to die. I didn't think that Catelyn or
even her sister
Rob or the daughter or the sister. I didn't expect Sir Barristan. I didn't. Yeah, that was fucking out of nowhere, man. It was like in a back alley.
And it was
shit.
Sad, man. I was really bummed.
I was very sad. Yeah,
I was very bummed.
Barristan was one of the best characters, and he disappeared in the show for enough time to make you feel like the time it would have taken for him to not just travel but find her somehow. In season 7, the one where they get the White Walker, it's like all of time and space was folded in so that things could work out. They're like, all right, we're just gonna walk out into this place that in previous seasons could take an entire fucking season to walk,
and we're gonna do it in half an episode.
We're gonna walk there in 10 minutes, and then when something goes wrong, we're going to have one guy run without a weapon back to the fucking thing,
past the bears,
past everything, the White Walkers that could have been there, all of the dead, the whoever, everybody basically. Get to the wall, explain. I guess they knew who he was. Get a fucking raven, send it over to fucking Dragonstone, herd a fly from Dragonstone over to the wall in one goddamn episode in like an overnight scene? Fuck off.
Yeah.
I get that walking on like foot walking and dragon flying are like completely different.
But raven flying would still take a long time.
But there was even like, I thought it was like, I was fine with the jump cut. Or not jump cut, but the jump in time in season 7 when Daenerys jumps on a dragon and just shows up where the Lannisters are. I thought that was fine. It would take so fucking long to move an army that big that she easily could have made all that time up with a flying dragon. Like that to me was like, I appreciated that of like cutting that time out.
It was also very close. The battle with the Lannisters was just outside King's Landing, and she came from Dragonstone.
Oh,
those
okay.
things are very close together
okay.
versus the North. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be very similar to just to being like, oh yeah, we went from New York to Washington versus going from New York to Texas. It's like that's a big jump.
That's a big jump.
I think the thing that made the most sense actually about season 7 was her first dragon dying. I thought that was actually a really well written idea.
They had built the White Walkers as extraordinarily powerful, and the dragons as extraordinarily powerful. So it was a very impactful scene.
Yeah.
And what George gets is that a main character's death should never be there without a reason. You don't just do it to make people feel sad because they lost somebody. It needs to impact the story. And pretty much beyond that, it does. Like, Sir Barristan doesn't really impact the story too much. But even Liza is her name?
Mm-hmm.
Even her death impact. She was a secondary character, and she had an impact on the story. Ned basically Rob Baratheon's death kicks the entire story off, and Ned is basically the spark for the flame to continue.
Well, that's the reason Rob's dead.
Which is then why Rob is dead, and everything connects to something else. Lord Frey dies because of what he did to Rob. Like, everything is connected to something else, and
So
it felt
true.
like at the end there was no reason for the things that happened.
Yeah.
And then it also felt like on the opposite side there was no reason why some characters didn't die. There's like 9 deaths that should have happened in the Battle of Winterfell.
Sam should be dead. Brienne should be dead. Well, Jorah did die, which was good.
But even Jorah was so predictable.
Yeah, Jorah.
And that's the problem, is that I
earlier.
hadn't predicted deaths beyond that. And then there were all these super predictable deaths. Like,
Sam's buddy.
Sam's buddy. It was like the way that they filmed it, I predicted it like to the second.
Yeah. It really just seemed like George, and this could have happened. It seemed like George just said, "You're on your own. I'm not wasting my time writing this because I haven't finished my books and I'm not giving anything away."
And I look forward to the people who read the books
Mm-hmm.
and animate the real endings, because I would love to find out how it's supposed to
Yeah,
go.
because that's not how it's supposed to go. That was some dog shit. That's not how it's supposed to end.
So this is my
You were
idea.
always my queen.
This is
my queen.
My queen.
She's my queen.
I don't want it.
I know it's crispy, but she's our queen.
I don't know what the free folk.
I don't know who my king is. I just know who my queen is.
You still to this day say the no perfectly. That's exactly.
I don't know.
That's exactly how he says it.
Oh, I love you, Kit. It's not your fault.
Yeah, he's great. It's really none of the actors'
No,
fault.
it's none of their fault. They were amazing.
The production people, the directors, everybody did a phenomenal job. It was the writing. It was the core of the show.
Well, it was written by the directors, so don't give them too much credit.
I mean, the directing, though.
Yeah, no, you're right. The directing was done well.
Some people are making fun of the Battle of Winterfell for being too dark. I think it was supposed to be terrifying.
I think it was perfect.
It was supposed to show you, like, battles don't always happen in the day. Battles happen in the daytime for the most part because it's people on people, and they would rather fight in the light. A battle in the night is fucking terrifying against an enemy that doesn't actually exist
and doesn't need to really see.
No.
Yeah.
But
that was maybe the best episode in season 7 and 8.
Absolutely, with the exception of all of the
non-deaths,
people who should have been dying.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have no problem with you saying that these characters survive. It's just the scenarios they put them in were too unrealistic. And it was very similar to the scene where Jaime goes to spear Daenerys and gets knocked off of his horse into a river that turns into a lake and avoids dragonfire. That was like, is fucking Hollywood back again? Like, what's going on here? You have like some guy in the background with one of those cones, those yelling cones. He's like, we need more fire on the lake.
Yeah.
But that scene, though, the scene where Daenerys takes out the Lannisters with the dragonfire was phenomenal.
Where Bronn is stumbling around through the fire.
She sets dudes on fire and turns them into ash, and the wind from the wings blows them away.
That was insane.
It's so cool.
And that's the first glimpse you really get at how hot Dragonfire really is before basically the second to last episode of the show.
And the whole King's Landing, I had no problem with King's Landing being like the ultimate end of King's Landing being at Daenerys. I thought that was a great story element. it was just the worst character turnover, and I'm not exaggerating, since Anakin fucking Skywalker. Dude, Anakin is talking about his remorse. 11 or 14 minutes later, he is killing children. Daenerys flips in like a minute. Like, she has less runtime.
It's maybe like 25 seconds.
Between the Darth Vader changeover. Like, they were... and I could see what they were doing. Once I had seen that episode, I was seeing what they were doing. They were having her support and her morality people dying next to her, right? And slowly, right? Well, at first it was slow, and then it like ramped right up. And then the only person around was Grey Worm, who has never had an independent thought in his head. And which I thought all of that was a great setup. I thought there was a lot of really, like, I thought the framework was really good. There just needed to be more meat. And that's what, like, Game of Thrones is meat. Like, it's the whole thing. There's very little, like, dessert to Game of Thrones, right? And the dessert is so fucking beautiful. Like
when you get it.
When you get it. Like, little scenes of characters fighting each other. Bran fighting the Knight of the Vale. You know, like, Brienne and Jaime fighting when he has one hand. Like, little moments where these are like... And even those are pretty well directed, because they had very little action to direct. So they did them super well.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of disappointment that surrounds the whole thing, but there's definitely some aspects that were great. Like you said, the whole setup to the King's Landing thing was great.
And the actual execution of the visuals
was great.
Incredible.
I think episode 6 of season 8 could have been done away with entirely. I think what would have made way more sense to me...
Oh, shit.
What?
If they just ended it.
Yes.
With Arya riding off on a horse.
Well, no, fuck all that noise. But it should have been structured such that at the very beginning of the episode, they were at the gates of King's Landing. The battle begins. The first half of the episode is them taking the castle by force, to the point where, you know, Daenerys has killed like a bunch of innocent civilians in the process of destroying the Red Keep, not just indiscriminately. Mm-hmm. And then in that episode, everybody realizes that she has gone too far and she's like off her rocker. So Jon kills her. And then there's like Jon, Tyrion, and the dead body of Daenerys in a room. And Tyrion, like, they both look out the door and they can like hear the crowds of people that are gathering. And he says something along the lines of like, good luck, or like, go meet the people, or something like that. And then Jon's like walking through the door and it all ends. It just seemed super, super insulting to wrap it up. This isn't a doggy bag. Like, let's not pretend that this whole thing can have a nice, pretty bow on top of it. This is the Game of Thrones. It doesn't end. You don't put a crippled boy with no emotions on the throne and everything's fine.
This is how I would have preferred that entire scene to go. First of all, I think that the show deserved season 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
Full 10 episodes, the standard fucking budget, all right?
We would have paid for it.
And that's the start of how I would have redone this. I think keep Missandei and Varys alive until the battle of even Jorah alive. They take the city of King's Landing. The people surrender, but Cersei will not. I mean, you don't even have to reshoot all your shots of her staring out fucking windows. You got them right here. She's at the Red Keep. She won't even let the people out that she's got in there, like the hundreds of people that she has around the inside. They're speaking back and forth, her and Jon and Cersei and Daenerys. And Daenerys is standing there on her fucking dragon telling her to get the fuck out of the keep. And basically Cersei knows how this is going down. She fucking kills Missandei. That's when she does it. Right in front of her, in the Red Keep. Daenerys loses her shit, starts by eviscerating the hundreds of people around the Red Keep, just to let Cersei know that I will not allow my, I guess, humility to be your weapon. Destroys the Red Keep. The people of King's Landing are very upset about this, and they sort of like rally against her, and in like a violent situation, pull Jorah away and murder him brutally, the way that it happened in the second season where that one dude got his arm ripped right off. You remember that?
Not really.
Joffrey was out there thinking that the people at King's Landing loved him.
Oh, yeah.
And they started just going fucking nuts and they just rip this fat dude apart. So that shit happens right in front of her. She loses it. She just levels King's Landing.
That would have made more sense.
But this would have been like at the end of full season 8. You've already had season 7 and 8 to build these moments where she's seeing herself lose the favor of the people.
So this would be finale season 8, you're thinking. Her killing everyone.
Yeah. And then season 9 is this, like partway through it is where she dies. Is where either Jaime or Jon stabs her in the back.
It's pretty poetic.
Stabbing her in the back in the same way her father died after trying to burn the people. I thought it was fucking beautiful that her dragon fire was igniting the green fire underneath, because it was her finishing what her father had started and tried to do.
Yeah, it would have been awesome, even in this shitty version, if when she decided to destroy everything, if she just leaned into Drogon and said, burn them all. That would have been perfect. It would have been like that joke at the very end that Tyrion tells.
Oh, fuck.
And I actually laughed
The honeycomb
out loud when that first happened. I really like running jokes like that.
But the problem,
and I also want to know what he did with the jackass and the honeycomb. I'm just saying.
The problem with ending it on that is that you're essentially like, you're saying like, this is how we feel about our show, is that it's an unfinished, repetitive
But it wouldn't have been that way if the show wasn't an unfinished, repetitive piece of crap.
That's what I mean by putting it in there.
Right.
In the version that they had it.
Right.
So then I think that she should have died maybe even early in season 9. Now it's about trying to make sure that this new world isn't as violent as the one that we had just experienced.
And the end of season 9 is them realizing they can't.
Well,
that it's going to start all over again.
I think that there should be these elements that the audience knows, but the characters don't. Like Bran is a very clearly, or Bronn. Wait,
which one are you talking about? The Ward?
The Cutthroat.
Oh, Bronn.
Bronn is very clearly not a good master of coin, but he's always after what he wants, and he has no problem doing bad shit to get it. You spend that season having characters like him figuring out their way into the small council. So the other characters are a little wary of him, but the audience truly knows that he's there for himself. He's a master of coin to master his own coin, really. Mm-hmm. You know, Sam is the clear, correct choice for the Grand Maester. Oh no, maybe he's not. He's way too young. There's probably plenty of Grand Maesters that would be much better at it. But he becomes the one, despite not being very good at it. So we have these little things that we know this world isn't gonna be stable. They made it seem like at the end everything was all good, and it's like, just like, what qualifies Brienne as the king of the gold cloak, or as the top of the gold cloaks? What makes her qualified for that, other than her just being a great warrior they know?
Was she?
Pretty sure she wasn't she?
I had no idea.
She was dressed that way. I swear she was supposed to be the commander.
Totally could have been. I assumed she was just representing Tarth, but I've never heard of Tarth other than her. Like, you never see her father or anything like that.
The Sapphire Isles or whatever they're called.
So you're probably
I'm pretty sure she is.
She was probably the...
Because everyone at that table needed to be something, right?
So she probably was, yeah, the king,
but there's
new Kingsguard, but there's no king at that point.
Right, but there's...
And this is how muddled and confusing it is.
There was a Master of Whisperers, though, right?
No. I don't think there was.
I'm pretty sure he did, because that's one of the things people make fun of, because what does Bran need a Master of Whispers for?
Interesting. I don't know.
He also says in several parts of the show that he cannot hold lands.
Yeah, and he cannot rule anything.
He cannot father children.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he's just like, what do you think I traveled all this way for? And it's like, that's what we call a Deus Ex Machina.
Yes.
It is an explanation. It is an answer to no.
It's something that comes out of nowhere.
It's random.
Yeah.
It's like the moment in every standard movie where a character is on the ground, the bad guy is standing over them, and then from out of the shot is someone who saves them. It's not particularly well written, and it's so much better when you explain the path the person took to save the person and line those up really nicely. Instead, it's cheap. And that's what this was.
And you know what? I think that's the best term. It was cheap.
Yeah.
It was cheap, and it didn't get what it deserved, and it's disappointing.
I had never considered changing or writing any part of Game of Thrones until that last season. There was never a part in my life in watching that show where I'm like, man, it would have been better if Jon had done this or that. Because it was so fucking well done that I was really interested in the direction the story took. There were plenty of times where I wanted things to go well. I had said in the early parts of the show that I thought that Tywin would be on top because he was willing to do what most people weren't. He didn't even care about his own son to preserve the name of his family. He's a fucked up individual.
Yeah, he was.
And I thought he was going to win. But when he died, I was like, damn, wonder where this is going to go. Even then, that death meant something. That changed everything.
Well,
everything changed something.
What really bothers me is that it was not made clear, at least to me. I'm sure there was people that knew this, but it was very much not made clear that they didn't know where it was going.
Right.
Yeah, sure, whatever. D&D told George R.R. Martin how the show was going to end, but they don't know how it's going to get there.
Game of Thrones is all about the journey.
Yes, and it just seemed so disingenuous in a way that, okay, here's what we got, guys. We got 6 solid seasons of storyline based off the books that have been written. Okay, and what are you going to do after that? We're just going to throw some stuff together to get to the ending.
Lots of dick jokes.
Can we hold off and make this series in 10 years? For real, though, can we just hold off so that the actors won't age? Like, you know, because that's the problem. That's why you can't wait for George. Well, all the actors are going to be too old.
Perhaps. And this is kind of a weird thing to say. The real mistake was making the show too early.
Yes, it was. It was absolutely the mistake. And I'm sure George did it because...
You were saying to me... Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sure he did it because he's at the point where, I mean, first of all, no one knows if he's going to finish all the books. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a big part of it. And I think he thought this is a great opportunity to sort of get my thing out there. And also way more people know about Game of Thrones now than they would have before.
Yeah.
Right? And no one thinks like, oh, fuck that George R.R. Martin guy. Seasons 7 and 8 were bad. Everyone's very aware that he had nothing to do with that, right?
Fuck. What was I saying?
They did it too early?
Yeah. Something else about that. Shit. Oh well.
It happens.
Maybe that's what happened with the show. They're like, guys, I got this great idea. Fuck.
Yeah. You know what? Instead...
Jon, okay, you know what? Maybe Jon just says, like, I don't want it. I don't know.
My queen. She's my queen.
She's
What kind of a fucking madman climbs on a dragon?
See, there were a lot of scenes where, like, characters would change quickly, and I was totally cool with them. Like Jon not wanting to bend the knee for many, many episodes, and then Tormund's like talks about he's like, you know, Mance Rayder never wanted to bend the knee, and how many people had to die for that. And it's like the moment that makes Jon change. But part of that is the buildup of the friendship between him and Tormund, and knowing that Tormund is very wise, and the amount of time that Tormund spent being behind Mance, for him to say such a negative statement about Mance was also very important. Like, it was a quick change in Jon, but it was also something he had kind of wanted to lean towards. He had been not bending the knee, believing that he should follow in his like ancestors' footsteps.
Well, he should have.
He should have bent the knee a long time ago.
No, he should have stuck with his ancestors' pride and not bent the knee at all.
I guess so.
At the end of the day.
I think his story was bad at the end. That was so rough to not have him like fulfill any sort of kingly thing. Like, and then for the Dothraki and the Unsullied to not kill him, they kill Lannister men in the streets who have surrendered, and then a dude kills their queen and they keep him in a cage for a bit
Yeah.
until they wait for strangers to decide his fate.
Yeah.
What?
So this is what we're saying,
What?
D&D. You fucked up.
Pretty hardcore.
Sorry.
And it's like it's
But you
not
did.
to say that just because the books weren't there is the reason. Like there's still things that just they aren't logical in the way that they're written. Fucking
And also, were you there for 6 seasons? Were you there?
In season 7, a White Walker or what are the zombies called?
Whites.
Whites, okay. The white can't get out of a fucking wooden / metal box. And then in season 8, one of them punches a hole through a fucking crypt. The dragon fire goes right through the wall like it's nothing and cuts the right keep like it wasn't even there. And then it can't get through a fucking rock that John is behind. There are so many moments.
Sense. That made no sense. It's true.
There are so many moments that you can even just compare season 8 to 7. Like the two that aren't part of the series of books, you can even look at those and compare them and be inconsistent. And I heard it said really well. This was many years ago, probably season 4. A guy was explaining the science of Game of Thrones. He says, a story doesn't have to be consistent to reality. It has to be consistent to its own reality. Realistically, the size of the wall would create so much pressure that it would generate heat and melt. You couldn't have an ice sculpture that large. But this is Game of Thrones. In their world, that does work. That can happen. That's fine. Nobody has a problem with that. It's because it's consistent to its own world. If Dragonfire does this here, it needs to do this there as well, not just change. And then like the whites move super fast and kill people instantly, but then when they're on main characters, they're super slow. There's a part where you can see in the distance one of them is hugging Brienne and just nothing is happening. And it's just and then there's a part where they actually like Three Stooge in a door and don't kill Arya. And she just kind of like stunned and she's like, "Oh, geez."
Yeah. I just can't imagine they sat down at the table to write the Battle of Winterfell and they got to the end and they said, oh, so we only killed like 2 main characters? Does that seem like enough? Yeah, it should be enough. That'll be enough of an emotional response. What? Sorry. What?
Yeah.
This is a show where people die to nothing. This is a show where people just die sometimes. Like, wasn't there one character that just like, no. I thought there was one character that just like fell and died. I could be wrong about that. But, you know, when you think about the people that the mountains killed just by like bashing their head off of a wall, like people just die in this world.
Yeah.
They're then going to have a fight with the undead. And yet nothing? No one's going to die?
And they missed such a great opportunity to have one of the main characters die and be rezzed up by the Night Watch, by the
shit,
the Night King. Like, imagine the emotional experience of fucking like Sansa coming at her sister. Imagine like Jorah coming at what's her name?
That
his queen. And she has to like set him on fire with a dragon, and she's like crying and also running from the whites, and like there's just like I think that you can't wrap that 8-year-long thing. The White Walkers are built up in the north for the longest ass time. They keep telling us winter is fucking coming. They've been telling us that for fucking 8 goddamn years. They blast through the wall with nothing stopping them.
Came down real easy too.
Nobody gets in their way on the way to it. They show up to the first major settlement basically.
Last Hearth, yeah.
And Last Hearth.
Yeah. That's the settlement between the Wall and Winterfell. Last Hearth.
Oh. Do they do stuff for the Last Hearth?
They just kill everyone and move on.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Weird. What I mean is, sorry, I thought Winterfell was the first place.
Oh, okay.
But they show up and then the fight, the one fight that they actually have is the end of the whole story.
Yeah.
Like, that's weak.
It is pretty weak. Yeah. What I've always like kind of been pissed off about with Daenerys is that she hugely underutilizes her ability. She's immune to fire. That is a really, really powerful ability, and she uses it.
She
once
uses
or
it
twice.
so cool in like season 5, I think. When
Yeah.
she kills all the
That was amazing.
The calls.
But what I wanted to see was her not riding on her dragon's back, because she doesn't need to be there. He is an ultra smart creature. He can do whatever she needs him to do without her there.
Yeah.
Especially because it's not a fucking horse. You're not guiding it by the reins. You're holding on for dear life. Right? So I wanted to see her covered in burning pitch with 2 flaming swords fucking carving through the undead.
Looking like Carrie with the blood
Yeah.
all over her face
Like,
and shit.
Imagine if she was standing on that pyre when the red lady fired it up, and then she's standing there like.
Well, imagine if the White Walkers, some of the Night King's right-hand men charge at her, and she's just standing there, and everyone's like, the fuck is going on? And then Melisandre touches it, lights it up on fire, creates like exterior rings, interior rings. Now the Whites are stuck in the middle, and she's just fucking wrecking house. She's on fire herself. They're swinging at her. The fucking shit's like melting as it hits her.
Yeah. Because it just, imagine if she was like on fire.
Yeah.
And she had like containers of pitch. So she's hurling them at people and then running at them, and they burst into flames.
Just like bear hugging dudes.
Yeah. It would have been wild. They could have done some cool things. And God, the Dothraki was so disappointing.
That was terrible.
Such a useless scene. Who thought that made sense?
They forgot, like, continuity is like its own division of television and film. Like you have people who are actually like specifically looking at stuff of like, this character's scar was here and it needs to be here again, right? We have sent all the Dothraki into the fire. Half are gone. Okay, all right. And then they're just back again in another scene. And then half are gone was in reference to the Unsullied.
No, I thought it was reference.
Or was it Dothraki?
Because they said like all the Dothraki are gone, and then they said half are gone.
Yeah, and then at the end of the conversation, half are gone. It's like,
I remember when I was watching that. It's like we knew the Battle of Winterfell was coming. And I remember when I was watching it, as soon as I saw the Dothraki charge, I immediately realized this was not going to be a good episode. I immediately knew it. You have the best possible defensive position. You are standing right next to a burning pyre designed to protect you from the undead, and you are going to storm out into the middle of the night. I get that the Dothraki like to fight, but they know the fight's coming to them, and they know these things are undead. They're not like the Dothraki love to fight, but they love to fight people. I have to imagine that they would be pretty wary about fighting undead creatures. They don't even want to get on boats and go on water. They don't want to go near water. And they're just going to run out into the darkness to fight this unknown enemy? Holy shit, D&D. Guys, come on. Like, did you even think about this? Oh my God. I wish I was just in the writer's room with a magazine, so every time they came up with a bad idea, I could just swat them in the nose. No.
I thought that
Don't come up with stupid ideas.
Jamie's story was one of the worst disappointments.
Ended, yeah.
Because in the first season, they paint him as like this golden haired fuck. He's just like...
I want to use that insult.
He's like,
you golden haired fuck.
He's like, he's like, you're going to find my brother. And he's like, stabs a dude in the eyeball. Stabs was Jory, I think is his name. He comes out, he confronts Ned in the first season.
He stabs his buddy.
Stabs Jory, or whatever his name is, in the eye.
Well, he stabs him in the. When you said in the eye, I was like, what guy had one eye? It's like, no, he stabbed him right through the eye,
face,
into the brain. Yeah, okay.
And then fights Ned for fun, basically. Knowing that if he kills him, he's not going to know where his brother went. So like, he's basically just doing this to show off, right?
Yeah, he has no intention of killing him.
He's a douche in the first season. And then he gets captured off camera, which I fucking loved. I thought it was so cool to just be like, yeah, we got him.
That was great.
Because sometimes like the early seasons did a very good job at not showing you certain things. I think of season 2, you see the Lannister men making jokes about the Starks and their dogs or whatever like that, and then they hear a noise, and then the direwolf comes out of nowhere and rips one of the dudes apart. Then you see a shot of Robb and his men lined up, and it's a very close shot. He raises his sword, everyone yells, the scene fades to black, and there's just screaming and sword clashing. And then the next scene, the fight is over. That is a beautiful way to say that a battle happened, but we didn't have the budget to show you everything that was happening. It also allows you to focus more on the impact of the battle and not the battle itself. They do the same thing with Tyrion, that when he has to go in with the Vanguard and he gets knocked out and the fight's just over. Because the battle itself is not important to the story, right?
The outcome is.
Right.
Yeah. How did they lose their way so badly?
So Jaime gets captured. He's still an asshole when he's captured. He even kills his cousin for a chance to escape, but doesn't. Gets caught again off camera. Beautiful. They just show him coming back, right? There's like a big commotion.
That's right.
Then you have Catelyn trying to do something terrible to save her family. And that really says something about who Catelyn is, that she cares more about her kids than the way of life of Westeros. That's like, I thought that like showed the strength of that woman very well. Like she was so strong, and they did a pretty good job bringing Sansa into that role. Like they slowly pushed Sansa into becoming an extremely strong person. Then Jaime goes on this giant fucking thing. He loses his hand. He's sitting there in the sauna after he's escaped after like years of being tortured and shit. And he's like, would you have let them die? Burn alive, millions of people. And you're like, oh my God. This guy had nothing in his life but to be a golden-haired fuck. Like that was his life. He was basically pushed into that life. Forced to be the King's Guard for the woman he loves' husband.
No. Because he was the King's Guard. Well.
He was the King's Guard for Robb Baratheon.
Right, but he was originally the King's Guard for Aerys Targaryen, right?
But which then turned... Yeah, but the point is, like, he was then, at one point, like...
Well, just you said forced, but, like, his dad actually was pissed that he did that.
That he killed...
No, that he went to be King's Guard. Because when you're a King's Guard, you have to give up your lands and your rights.
Really?
Yeah, so he was pissed at Jaime
he did that. So he did that actually to get closer to his sister then.
No, he became the King's Guard of Aerys because he wanted to, because he thought it was the most honorable thing that he could do. He then remained the King's Guard, yes, so that he could stay close to Cersei rather than being at Casterly Rock.
Okay, so I got that wrong.
Well, you gotta.
But anyway,
It wasn't so bad.
They show you that his character is very much based off of the situation that he lived in. Like all he pretty much had was fighting. Right?
Yeah.
So of course he was a douchebag every time, and he was the best at it. So like,
he's always around these other uber wealthy people.
Oh yeah,
these other lords and ladies
and soldiers. Like he loves showing off. So they explain really well that he is a good person, but they intentionally presented him to you as an asshole to make you think like, here's the villain of the story. And then slowly, I mean, they even cut his hair at the point where his character changes. They essentially, and for some reason he loses his golden sheen. He turns into like a gray-haired wise man instead of a golden-haired fuck. And it was so beautiful, like the whole thing. And then having him come back and be underappreciated, and no one really gives a shit of what all he went through. And it shows how much he has changed in the time away from King's Landing and how much has happened since he was gone. And then he leaves. He leaves his sister, and winter finally shows up, and you're like, here's where the story finally all comes together. And then out of fucking nowhere, he's like, I killed my cousin. Don't forget. Remember that part? How we showed that? Yeah, I did a bad thing one time. Yep. All right, I'm going back. It was like, huh?
It's painful.
It is painful. It might have been better if it stopped at season 6, and we had like a Game of Thrones Reborn in like 8 years.
Yeah. I really do agree, and that's why I think they shouldn't have started making it at all, because if they had waited until the books were, if they had waited to start until the last book was a year, maybe 2 years out, they would have no problems.
Yep.
The issue is you're probably looking at another 5 years for each book, right? So
I think it's been taking longer in some cases.
They have, but
Because he hasn't released one book, right, in the time since the first season came out?
No, the 5th book came out, I believe,
really?
Yeah, during the show airing.
Oh, really?
I believe, I'm not certain. 7 books in total, I believe there's going to be. But yeah, it seemed like what you always say. If it doesn't work, don't do it.
Mhm.
And it's nearsighted. And this is something that bothers me actually about a lot of things that we do modernly. They thought we can definitely make good money off of this right now. And nobody stopped to think what's going to happen when we run out of our preordained content.
It's like what you were telling me about Canadian law is that when you open a mine, you have to prove that you have enough money set aside to close it.
Yeah, exactly. You need to think about the end before you get to the beginning.
They went in just going, hey, we got 5 years.
Yeah.
We got 6 years, whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
We'll think about it when we get to 6 years.
Hey, if you want to do a Boondock Saints style thing where there's like a 10-year gap between seasons 6 and 7, I'm fine.
I'm still waiting for Boondocks 3 in like a couple of years.
I also feel like I was a little bit lied to in the sense that season 7 felt like, okay, this is just a weird transition between the old stuff and what they're going to do with season 8. And then when season 8 came out, we kept being told like they're feature length. I'm sorry, but an hour 20 is not a feature unless you're a shitty comedy movie.
It's a comedy or animated for children is an hour and 20. Yeah.
So feature length is an hour 40. Let's get that straight first and foremost.
You're talking at least, I would say like 90 minutes is like the minimum to be considered feature length.
I totally agree with that. An hour and a half works better than an hour 20 as far as being quote unquote feature length. But even then, that's still it's a stingy feature length.
Well, yeah, and there's a reason why comedies do it because they don't have a lot.
Yeah.
Because and it's also a better format to keep comedy more concise. But this is a show where the core is 2 people in a room talking, which takes a long ass fucking time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's a way they could have done it. The way you said, 7, 8, 9, 10 episodes each. Part of the problem was they decided they wanted to jam pack so much stuff in there there was huge budgets required, so they couldn't make 10 episodes. If they had more talking scenes, it would have been cheaper to make.
There's a great documentary they made about the last season being made from a production standpoint. And they were saying season 8 was by far more work than they've ever had to do for a season. And it was shorter. That's how much extra stuff was to be done. Because when you look at something like season 2's visual budget was pretty much put in to the Battle of Blackwater. It was that explosive green fucking boats going everywhere. I remember when I was watching that first season or that second season, I actually remember like in the moment feeling like this is what they put the money into. And I was like, damn, was that ever fucking worth it? And it wasn't the last episode of the season 2. It was the second last, which is typically what you see on Crave. They did like a best of thing, which is a weird way to format episodes, but almost every one of the best ofs were episode 9 of a season because that's typically the format they went with. The climax was at the 9th episode with the fallout being in the 10th because the show is more about what everything means.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a shame because it just really feels like they knew it was going to be rough no matter what they did. And they decided, let's just get it over with. That's what it felt like. And the big thing is they don't have dialogue. That's the big thing. Yes. I think a lot of their dialogue was stripped right out of the books and repurposed for the show. So when the dialogue was gone, all of a sudden they were just, screwed. Yeah. I don't understand why they didn't just, I don't understand how that works. I really don't.
It's because it's not as simple as you and I saying, we'll talk about this next session and like figure out whether we feel like releasing something here or there. Like they have to make so many decisions so far ahead of time that sometimes like the more powerful person just makes a decision and says it's happening.
Right. And that's why I think it's somewhere along the lines, there's a person who is directly to blame for the rushing. And I don't understand why they didn't feel like they could bring in additional writers. Like, why couldn't they have brought in so obviously D&D did a lot of the writing. Why not bring in a writer for each episode, knowing that there's going to be so much dialogue you need to generate rather than being able to steal? That way you have individuals that are able to craft the dialogue of each episode. And as long as you work together as a team, in theory, I would have rather have a season 7, 8, and 9 that all felt a little weird, like a deep fake. Yeah, it's Game of Thrones,
off a bit.
But there's something off about it, rather than just like having someone walk in a fucking clown suit and just say, it's over. That it would have been better.
The first 7 seasons of The Simpsons were written by like 15 dudes, and they would sit around in a room with no table, just chairs, and they would basically just have fun.
Oh, that's how you write a show like that.
They would just go off. It'd just be like, no, okay. Homer does this thing, all right? And then Bart, like...
And you write all that shit
And then
down.
someone else is like, well, what if Bart did this after that instead of before? And then everyone just fucking lost it. They were having fun with it. Maybe that was the issue. Maybe the writing wasn't fun
anymore. Yeah, it totally could be.
Because before they were taking from a great story. Like what the way I had described it to people who hadn't watched Game of Thrones is that Game of Thrones it's not lightning in a bottle. It is a really well-written show made by passionate people based off of a very well-written book made by a passionate person. And that's really the issue with those last 2 seasons is that it didn't feel like passion was there because they were expected to make the same thing
without him,
without the time it would take. Like, it's not to say that George is a better writer, it is that he had significantly more time.
I think he's also probably a better writer.
He's probably a better writer,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, any guy who uses a massive MS-DOS screen to write things in the late past the aughts of 2000s is a fucking G.
You're a G web. Oh man. Okay.
G is in good writer.
So is this a good time to do our A discussion?
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure.
Let's do it. So before we started this, we watched Tribute by Tenacious D, which we didn't actually check when it was first aired, but it was
7 years ago or something.
Yeah,
like that?
7, more than that. It wasn't 2011.
9?
Well, the movie I think was even out in like 2008. So I'm pretty sure it was 05.
Yeah, well, you didn't know Dave Grohl was in it, so...
Hey, we're not talking about the movie. We're talking about Tribute here. Yeah, he wasn't in Tribute.
What?
Dave Grohl wasn't in Tribute. He was Satan, though, in Tenacious D.
He was the drummer in Tribute.
Oh, that makes sense.
Not Tribute, in Tenacious D.
Who's on first base?
Jimmy
Grohl?
I don't know what the fuck we're talking about now.
So for anyone who hasn't seen Tribute, you should, first of all. It's only 5 minutes. And I remember seeing Tribute a long time ago. Like we must have been in elementary school when it first came out.
Yeah, maybe high school.
Yeah, you maybe would have been in high school. I was in elementary school. And I remember being blown away by it when it first came out.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
It was unique, too. There wasn't a lot like it.
Comedy music was not good.
At the time.
Until Tenacious D and Flight of the Conchords and a couple other ones really...
Forgot about them.
Showed people that you can make good comedy music. And later down the line, Ninja Sex Party, which you and I went to see in 2016 and then discovered Tupperware Remix Party.
Yeah. The thing about comedy music is it has a much shorter shelf life.
It's harder to, like, I've noticed it. It's when you turn a comedy song into more bit than song, it becomes harder to listen to many times.
Yes, agreed.
Because music, like, the human brain's looking for patterns, which is what we love about music. It has lots of patterns. And why we love new music is because we're absorbing new stuff, and we get sick of it because we learn the pattern and we can't find any more element to learn from. So when there's a little part that just stops and the characters are just speaking, it's very hard to listen to that once a day.
It's true, yeah.
Which is why, to me, the perfect Starbomb song is the Overwatch one, because the bits were done musically and everything flows as a song and it fits very well, and it's the type of thing you can listen to once a day. Anyway, but back to Tenacious
and eventually
D.
you figure out the words. Yeah, it's amazing how true to the Tenacious D movie it was.
Well, I think it was probably designed the opposite way, but
no, I totally get that because it came first. But it's just that normally you expect, here's this sort of concept we want to do, where like, we're this band called Tenacious D, like let's make a little mini movie. And then you go to make the real movie and you decide to like make all of these changes to what, you were actually thinking about. But it really feels like that could be the part that comes after the credits in the movie. You could just take tribute and just put it in the movie and it wouldn't even really be that weird.
That could have been like the credit scene.
The postscript, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been perfect, man.
So for those who don't know, Tribute is a song by Jack Black and Kyle Gass. The Jack Black, yes. About a time when they just happened to stumble upon Satan. The Satan, yes.
Well, he says there shines a shiny demon.
Yeah, but then he's Satan. And he tells them that he'll eat their soul if they don't play him the greatest song in the world. And so it kind of sounds like they're about to tell you about the greatest song in the world, but this song is actually about the time when they sang the greatest song in the world. So it's a good song. It's not the greatest. This is a tribute to the greatest song in the world. So it's like, it's already funny on its own, even when you just explain the idea. The song is also great. It has bits in it, but works well enough as its own song if you were to just listen to it.
And the video is really well done.
It's funny.
It's very much in the spirit of like what they do.
And it's low budget while also being very appropriate. Like they're very clearly on a green screen in the desert on a road, and like the guy playing the devil's pretty quickly put together, but like the part where the light shines from behind them, like it's cheesy, but it's hilarious because of how it was filmed. And the shot that is like outside of the studio booth, just and it's like they removed all of the sound because they're saying that Jack Black managed to hack the studio thing so that the drums and the bass were perfectly in sync with them somehow. So they're hearing it through the headphones, but no one can hear it outside. So it's just him going, oh, right. Yeah, I actually forgot he was in a band. Like I only knew him as actor Jack Black.
You mean like what band? Other like
Tenacious D.
Oh, but in Tenacious D. Yeah.
Like I had like considered him a musical person for like just the way that he kind of acts and how he was in School of Rock, but like I'd kind of forgotten that music seems to be more of a core.
Seems to be important to him. Yeah. Well, then there's that song he made with Sum 41.
I have not heard that.
It's I think it's called All the Cool Shit I Want.
Yes.
Yeah, like a golden motorcycle with machine guns on the front.
I used to have it on my iPod.
It's such an epic song.
Wow.
Man. Yeah. I just really love the premise of the tribute aspect where he's like, this is just a tribute and you've got to believe me. I wish you were there, but I guess it's just a matter of opinion.
So many rappers tell you that they're the best. Their song's the best, and here's a song telling you, trust me, I once wrote the best song ever,
and this isn't it,
but in a joking enough way where you can understand that their overconfidence is clearly
intentional,
satirical.
Yes,
it's a joke.
Yeah.
They're not really trying to convince you. It's sort of like the characters of Tenacious D are saying like, no, really, like we wrote the best song in the world. We can't remember it anymore. It was so good.
Oh my God.
We can't remember.
So clever.
It's hilarious.
It's so clever. The fact that they remember none of it.
Yeah. Not even a bit.
Just couldn't remember the greatest song in the world.
Yeah.
Really, guys?
And then the movie was very funny. And
I really liked
Tim Robbins was hilarious. Ben Stiller was hilarious.
Oh, cut out your eyes and your balls and put your eyes where your balls should be.
I love how it's like, I didn't even consider it a musical. until maybe the second time I watched it, and I'm like, this is a musical. There's way too many.
It's the best musical ever made.
There's way too, yeah, but it's because it wasn't. It's not like with Mamma Mia as a play works very well, but as a film, it feels very out of place. The characters doing things in synchronization is so strange.
Yeah, it's out of nowhere.
But it's because they took actual songs and applied it to a movie. Not writing songs that go directly into the movie. Like Kickapoo is fucking hilarious. The song about him being kicked out of his house, when it's just like, you're grounded for 1 week with no telephone. Like it's like very clearly designed straight for that film, but still works on its own, because I used to have them on my iPod. I used to remember that.
Yeah, and I remember we would listen to them on their own, and you didn't need the context.
Not at all.
But they fit so well with the context. Like, he says, you got 1 week with no telephone.
Yeah.
Don't let me hear you cry. Don't let me hear you moan. And then he slams the door. And there's that smash cut in the music where it's silent.
Yep.
And then he starts singing that low,
Dio,
can you hear me? But it fits absolutely perfectly. Yeah. Imagine how much work they went into just storyboarding that movie and preparing how they were going to do this, and what the songs were going to sound like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just the fact that they made plausible reasons for all the songs. Like, Storm the Gates is still, to this day, one of my favorite songs when he's trying to break in. Oh shit, there's a camera. Like, just, like, it was so obscene, but all the other parts, like, I don't know, Classico, the song that they play right out front of the pizza shop. You guys are like electric dynamite. Or the song, the whole concert. They have a whole concert that doesn't happen because it's in a dream.
Oh.
Right? And where the guy's head explodes because he's pointing at him.
That shit happens to me all the time. There's a part where he has it's like a V-neck guitar.
Yeah,
that's like a woman that he's going down on.
Oh my god! And then he's got the 3-headed guitar that he has 6 arms to operate all at the same time.
Isn't there a part where some seriously bad shit happens in a bar? Like someone throws some shit at somebody?
Well, no, because that's when the guy's head explodes and it lands all over people. Like all of his brain matter ends up.
But I swear, there's a part where it's the reality of them being in a bar and somebody gives them shit for it.
Well, they do play one in a bar. They do play that one show in a bar.
There's that scene where he tries to power slide and he breaks his guitar. And he's
I broke my mustache!
He's actually crying.
Or just those weird ruffians that beat him up that are in white and black suits, and they've got those strange masks on. They're all speaking with British accents. Oh. And he's like, he does look like a fucking baby. And he hits him with a pipe.
That might be, that's probably a reference.
Baby.
That's probably a reference to Clockwork Orange.
It could be. Oh, yeah, maybe it could be.
Because they roam the streets in white suits and masks.
Might be, yeah, because they wow, that's actually really kind of funny. I never picked up on that. Yeah, and even the song Kickapoo, when it's ending and he's going, now go my son and rock, and he carries that rock out really long, and then the next scene is him writing that song.
Oh.
You can see it on the page where he writes rock with 100 O's. It goes all the way across the page. Just so well crafted.
Yeah. Is that your car? Yeah, man. I like to use it when I'm delivering Zaz.
That guy was the best.
And later on, he sees it on the radio or on the
Cutlass
TV.
Supreme. Yeah, and he's like, no, we're in a movie, man. It's called Cop Chase 3. It's really intense. No, we don't talk about the pod out here. Come with me to the back room. Ben Stiller's character.
Oh, and he's got a lighter in the closet.
I think there's a light back here. No, don't. Just start to finish. I think the only scene in that movie that I did not particularly think was funny was when he turns off the lasers with his dick. I thought that scene was just a little too slapstick for me. But every other scene, like him, breaking in by jumping into the vent, and did not think about that at all because he ends up head first at the bottom of the vent, and they're both in the vent crawling, and then the thing falls right out of the ceiling. Just so many great things. The security guards who are clearly rent-a-cops, and he's got the flashlight, and he's pointing it at things. like pretending to be this like super badass.
Yep.
Oh my god. Yeah. Tribute was I guess the necessary step, right? It was tribute. They did that. They realized, okay, we could do this. Let's make the thing. Let's make the movie. And then a few years later, there it was. Yeah. I'm gonna have to watch that movie again.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Okay, I think this is a good time to wrap it up. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us on our 5th episode of Electric 145. We may or may not talk about Game of Thrones again next time, but I promise nothing.
I don't know. I feel like you'd be beating a dead white horse in the middle of King's Landing.
Yeah, we certainly have. We don't want it to rise and try to eat us.